Okay, Anna, we are live.
Good morning and welcome to the second exhibitor webinar that the Academy is pleased to offer exhibitors to assist you in your success and participation at the annual meeting. Las Vegas is really turning out to be a meeting that's going to have an incredible attendance. We have the advanced registration figures as the deadline passed for attendees to receive their materials in advance last week. And right now we have a total of 13,434 advanced registrants, which would be physicians and healthcare professionals. That is a 21% increase over this time last year in Chicago when we had 11,057 advanced registrants. The breakdown U.S. and international, the U.S. advanced professional attendance right now is at 8,722, which is a 20% increase from the 7,249 we had in 2014. The international advanced professional attendance is 4,712, up 24% from last year's 3,808. And these are the comparisons at the same time at the period of registration closing. So we're off to have just an amazing meeting in Las Vegas. And again, I'm pleased to introduce Jefferson Davis from Competitive Edge, who will be providing you with a webinar today on improving lead quality and sales conversion. You'll learn a lot of information and, of course, the importance in following up on the leads you receive on the trade show floor. So welcome and thank you for joining us, Jefferson, and it's all yours.
All right. Thank you, Anna. Those are some pretty exciting pre-registration figures, 21%. Increase over last year. I think Las Vegas is going to be a really standout show, and we're glad everybody's on this webinar, and we're glad you're in the show with us. Today's topic, improving lead quality and sales conversion. I'm going to cover 6 innovative ways that will help you quickly improve your lead management processes. This program is part of AAO's organizational commitment to exhibitor value, exhibitor knowledge, exhibitor success. The exhibitor resources page is your centerpiece. It's your 24/7, 365, free, complimentary. It's part of your program, value-added knowledge portal. You can go there and access live webinars, webinar replays, download exhibitor success tactics and tips. A lot of content up there. Standout exhibit photos. So if you're really looking to take your exhibit to a higher level, you've got a great partner with Anna and the team at AAO. And a great resource with the Exhibitor Resource Center. Make sure to bookmark it, share it with everybody on your team, and visit frequently because we will be updating it. I've been around the show now. I think this is my 11th or 12th year. Most of you have probably seen me and my team out there with the Exhibit Evaluations program. Live and breathe trade shows. Don't know much but know a lot about shows, and that's why we're kind of here today. I'm going to share with you 6 practices that I've applied with my clients that have helped turn their trade shows around from expensive appearances to where they were flying the company flag and handing out some literature, collecting some business cards and going home, to productive, profitable investments that are supporting their core business objectives and delivering financial value beyond cost. So if you ever want to talk shows, my 800 number is there, my email address is there. Would love to hear from you. So let's jump in today. We're making an investment of human capital and financial capital. And I think the end game while we're all doing this is we want to grow our businesses. We want more customers. We want more sales. We want greater market share. We want greater brand awareness, visibility. And so what really drives business growth? Well, most of you are probably familiar with Peter Drucker, who is certainly one of the foremost management experts of the 20th century. And Peter said something that really resonated with me, and I thought he nailed it. He said, marketing and innovation are the only 2 things that really drive business growth and revenue. He said everything else is an expense. So we're talking about trade shows here, we're talking about marketing, and we're going to talk about innovation in terms of how you manage leads. And some of these strategies, as I present these 6 specific strategies, some of you may look at them and go, maybe that's not quite as innovative as I was expecting. But I tell you what, having worked with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of companies, having done seminars, webinars for hundreds of thousands of exhibitors, very few exhibitors are doing most of these strategies I'll share with you. So innovation, marketing innovation, that's what we're talking about. So return on investment, this is the big 800-pound gorilla in the room that's getting tossed around in almost every marketing C-suite today. We've got chief marketing officers and vice presidents of marketing and chief financial officers who are looking at us, the exhibit and marketing managers, and saying, hey, we're spending all this money on shows. What are we getting, right? And there's more pressure to kind of justify the spend nowadays than maybe ever before. So I want to get down to the heart of the matter, the truth, the fact about trade show ROI, and here it is. Okay, if your company's ever going to get hard dollar return on investment, I'm talking checks in the bank, money in your accounts, and you're not writing deals at the show, you're not signing contracts on the show floor. If you're ever going to get that, and that's not happening, the real product, the thing you're going to walk out of the convention center, the Las Vegas Convention Center with, is going to be what? Leads. Okay? Leads. That's what it's about. And so we've got to really wrap our mind around and get a handle on this whole topic of leads and sharpen the saw, if you will, in terms of how we approach this. Here's some statistics, and I use the phrase shocking because there's a lot of contradiction in these statistics. Number one, a recent study by Exhibitor Magazine found that lead generation is the number one reason why companies say they exhibit. Now, there's a lot of other reasons: branding, visibility, awareness, new product introduction, education, all of that. But lead generation, it is, according to the research, the number one reason. So we think about that, and then we look at this next statistic by Exhibit Surveys. And this is based on retrospective surveys of attendees who go to the show. They say that 87% of the booths they stop at and request information or contact 8 weeks after the show have not followed up with them. So we're saying 87% of show leads are never effectively followed up on. And here's another interesting piece of research. The salespeople, the people that we're sending these trade show leads to, 3 out of 4 view them as cold calls. Now I want you to think about that for a minute, right? Somebody walks into your exhibit, engages your staff, gives their badge to scan, requests contact or information, and somehow the people that are receiving these leads from marketing are viewing them as cold calls. That is a shocker. That is a mind-blowing statistic, and we've got to kind of reduce that number. The next one, the average exhibitor takes 26 days from when they capture the lead into the booth to when it gets processed into their CRM system and into the hands of the people that will follow up. 26 days. That's over 3 weeks. Here's a rule for you that's not on the screen. You may want to jot it down. The value of a trade show lead diminishes by 15% per week unless the visitor has requested a longer time frame, 15% per week. So at the 4-week point, 60% of the lead value is gone. Okay, so we've got to move faster on this in terms of processing. And then finally, this one's a surprising one, and yet maybe not so surprising when we look at the rest of these stats, is that 43% of attendees that go to shows with purchase intent receive information from exhibitors after they've made the buying decision. So this is a big problem, and it's a big opportunity for everybody who's logged into this webinar and for everybody who wants to really get under the hood and how do we improve this thing and how do we get more value and how do we better serve the market and how do we get better ROI. That's what we're talking about here. So strategy number 1, okay, and you'll see the image on the screen, the fishbowl with a business card in it. That's got to be about as classic and old school as it gets. So our first strategy is we have got to clearly define what is and what is not a lead. There's great confusion about this topic. What most companies call leads are not leads, and that's playing a part to the problem. So first of all, let's put a high level, like a 30,000-foot view. I think a lead is anybody that you or your team interacts with at the meeting that requires action on your part, and that action delivers value for your company. That's the high levels. You can see how that's not just a brand new sales opportunity. It's an existing customer with a satisfaction issue. It's a media person with a press opportunity. It's a dealer who's struggling to sell one of your product lines. We might even go as far to say it's an employee who's disgruntled. But bottom line is, from a high level, we're saying it's anybody that we have to take action on, and that action delivers value for your company. So I hope that definition kind of resonates with you, because it's a great way to think and get everybody on your team thinking. Okay, now, when we think about quality, okay, there's 4 factors that determine whether it's a quality lead or not. Number 1, there's been personal interaction. Somebody on your staff has personally engaged the visitor. Second, questions, the right questions, the best questions have been asked. Third, answers captured, documented. And fourth, the next step is identified and agreed to by the visitor. You give me 50 leads that fit that criteria, I'll convert 15 to 30 of those to business. You give me 400 business cards dropped in a fishbowl, I'll be lucky to convert 1, let alone 4. So what isn't a lead for our definition? It's just a quick badge scan with no additional information. Hey, can I scan your badge so we can send you some literature? Sure. Scan, boom, gone. Not a lead, a scan, right? Somebody walks up and says, could you guys send me information about your products? Sure, let me scan your card. Scan, go. Not a lead, an inquiry. Any form of business cards without additional information, especially if there's any contests, and I know that's probably can't, with medical, that's been severely limited, but let's just be clear. When we say a lead, write these 2 phrases down. Information-rich, committed next action. Let me add a distinction to that. Clear and committed next action. That's what we're looking for. Make sure your management team, make sure everybody on your exhibit team knows what we mean when we say a lead. And this might sound simple, but I promise you, this is a game changer. Some of you are under great pressure today from your senior managers for the quantity game. Well, we got 800 scans at last year's show, so this year we should get 1,000 scans. Why? Because attendance is up. Well, we're going to talk about that too, and how to go about setting that goal. Because many times, this idea that we should be continually increasing the quantity is not a smart strategy. Okay, so number 2, let's talk about that. Set realistic goals and build staff accountability. Goals, execution, measurement, results. Okay, so the formula we use to set our lead goals is based on our exhibit interaction capacity. This is a mathematical formula that helps you calculate the number of face-to-face interactions you can execute in your exhibit. So I want you to run this number with me as I walk you through the formula here, okay? So number 1, write down the number of exhibiting hours in the meeting. There are 28 exhibiting hours. Second, how many people are going to be in your booth on average for those 28 hours for the purpose of engaging visitors? How many people in your booth, your full-time staffing equivalent? In my example, 3. Write down your number. Okay, what you've got there is your total staff hours or your capacity for face-to-face interaction in your booth. Now, this next number is a variable, and you've got to kind of think this through carefully. How many interactions per hour per staffer could you expect or plan for or execute on an average hour in the show. I'll give you some thoughts here. The average interaction in a booth is 3 to 7 minutes. I could make a case for 8 to 20 interactions per hour per staffer. I'll never make that case. I want to be very realistic as I use formulas like this. So, in my experience, 30 years of doing trade shows, the hundreds of clients I've worked with, the hundreds of thousands through my webinar seminars, we found that 3 interactions per hour per staffer is conservative. That's 20 minutes per interaction to find, engage, qualify, present, and get a commitment. 20 minutes, right? 4 interactions per hour is moderate. That's 15 minutes to find, right? Engage, qualify, present, get a commitment. And then 5 per hour. 5 per hour is what? 12 minutes. I'm going to suggest that you start in the 3 to 5 range. If you want to play it a little bit aggressive, go around the 5 interactions per hour per staffer range. If you want to play it conservative, use the 3 interactions per hour. If you want to play it in the middle, use 4. I want you to pick one of those numbers, write it down in your workbook, and multiply your exhibit interaction capacity. So this is the number of face-to-face, one-to-one interactions you can execute in your exhibit. If you don't like the number, change the variables. You can't change the number of hours in the show. You can change the number of booth staff within reason, right? Don't overstaff your booth. On the other hand, don't understaff it. Make sure you have enough. The staffing rule of thumb is 50 square feet per staffer. Now, as you get in larger and larger in your booth, that number there will become a saturation point where that number doesn't fit anymore. But as a starting point, 50 square feet per staffer, okay? So, what else could I influence? Could I influence the number of interactions per hour per staffer? Yes. Here's how. A well-designed pre-show marketing campaign that drives more of the right people to your booth, a well-designed exhibit that grabs attention, communicates a value proposition, and pulls more people into your booth, that helps. Trained exhibit staffers that know how to manage interactions in the booth, how to get into and discover who they're with and why they're here and what to do and how to get out of interactions, that can influence, raise the number. So any of those things could raise the number. A theater in the booth, that has one-to-many type presentation area, that could raise the number, certainly of the total traffic. We still want that one-to-one interaction with them, though, which is what we're talking about here. So I have my number, 252. What is yours? What is yours? Okay. I'd like to see a few of those numbers from those of you logged in. If you would, through your question queue, if you would just type the number you came up with and send it to me via your question queue, I'd like to see a couple of your numbers to get a range of what we're looking at here. Now, as we do this, here's the big idea, okay? Not 100% of interactions are going to convert to opportunities or leads. Some percentage will. Here the question should be, what percentage? Well, as a starting point, 1 out of 4 convert to lead. That is a very realistic, very doable. If you wanted to be a little more aggressive on your interaction to lead conversion, you could use what's called stopped to literature ratio, which is 1 out of 2.4 visitors on average are interested enough to request information or contact. If you translate that 1 out of 2.4, that's 41%. So if you wanted to be aggressive on your interaction to lead goal, use 0.41. Okay, in my example, I'm being conservative here. So now I have got a very clear and firm lead goal for the show. And now my booth staff knows, and they've been coached on it, and as you'll see as I build through these philosophies, they are on the clock for at least 3 interactions per hour while they're in the booth, and they're on the clock for 1 out of 4 interactions converting to a lead. And it's amazing when you start to apply this formula how accurate it is, especially when your team knows it and you've got some checkdowns, as I'll show you in a moment here. Okay, so set realistic goals, build staff accountability. Okay, so the second thing we should have is a lead captain. Somebody's got to wear the hat here. Somebody's got to be checking that the lead devices are available and functioning. Somebody's got to be checking lead count on some regular basis during the show. Somebody's got to be peering in and looking at quality of lead. Is our booth staff capturing enough of the right information? So the lead captain wears all these hats. And then what I like to use is a form that my lead captain has physically. You know, and if we're a medium or large booth and we've got a storage room, this will be posted on the wall inside, and my lead captains have to check in and notice on this form here how we've built it. It's got the days of the show, and then it's got the AM goal, the PM goal, and then it's got to place the goal in the actual, and at the end of the day, are we ahead or are we behind? And then it keeps us on track. Okay, so now it keeps everybody focused. So setting goals, building staff accountability, assigning a lead captain, and tracking, you know, whether it's end of shift, if you use an AM PM shift. Smaller companies, maybe it's end of day. Maybe it's, you know, just at the end of the day. But, you know, in this example, you look on the right. So, you know, day one, you know, we had a goal of 16. We captured 15. We're a little bit behind. Something was off today. Tomorrow, we had a goal of what? 16. We captured 22. We're ahead. Third day of the show, we had a goal of 16. We captured 19. We're ahead. Last day of the show, things slowed down. We only got 4. So we're a little behind. Overall, we had a goal of 60. We captured 55. We were off by 5. Not bad. But when you start to use this type of focus and this type of planning and this type of execution, you'll be amazed at how accurate these numbers are. They'll be right around your plan, often higher, rarely lower if you're doing it right. Okay? So let's go to our third strategy here. Too often, we just accept whatever is embedded in the badge. You know, whatever data's in the badge, we scan it, and whatever's in there we get, right? And we just accept that that's all maybe we can and should be getting. No, I don't agree with that. I think it's mistake colossal. This is the thing you would tell your booth staff. You may never have this chance again when you're standing face-to-face with this person to ask the great questions, to capture more information. You may never stand face-to-face with this person again. Don't squander the opportunity. The badge has their name, and it has their address, and it has their email address, but I would also double-check email address, not only to make sure it's there, but make sure it's accurate, the specialty, and it has information about their practice. And so I would be looking at that data, but here's what I would do to take this to the next level. I would engage my sales team, and I would ask them, what information, if we could capture at the point of contact with visitors in our booth, would help you better understand, value, appreciate, and make you really want to follow up on this lead. So you can see the type of information I've listed on the screen here that could be additional things that you're building into your qualification and capture device. Don't just accept what's embedded in the badge. Think through what you need, then design a questions process, train your booth staff on it, and build these data fields into your capture device and get more than just what's embedded in the badge. Okay, big idea here. Questions. I'm going to take a peek in the queue here while we're flowing along. Someone said it's not a question, but it's a comment. The definition should be amended to action or delivers potential value for your company. Yeah, value, potential value, same thing, same thing. It's value, you know, potential and value. To me, both are potential value things. We've got by your calculations, question number 2 for booth staff, we're way overstaffed. Our total target number of interactions is 1,400. You may not be overstaffed depending on the size of your booth. Anna, what was the target number of medical professionals we're expecting this year? You had said that number earlier.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. I had my phone. The target number of annual meeting attendees is 13,430. Oh, the advanced registration we have right now is 13,434. Overall, we were targeting approximately 18,000 professional attendees for Las Vegas.
18,000. So thank you. And it's interesting, Anna, Kelly had submitted the 13434 by question too. So your exhibitors are listening.
Good.
Great.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. Hey, to the person who says, I think we're overstaffed at 1,400 interactions, not necessarily. Not necessarily. So that's something that maybe if you want to have a one-to-one conversation offline and maybe run that by me, I'd be happy to ask you a few questions and see if that is in fact overstaffed. It might not be if your target interactions is 1,400. Okay, so I'm going to jump back in. We got a few more strategies. Thanks for your questions, and keep those questions coming. There's no such thing as a dumb question, maybe except the one that you don't ask, that you want to ask, right? But beyond that, fire away with the questions. I think we all get more out of the session when you guys are giving us great questions. So let's keep rolling here. So we've gone through 3 strategies. What do we say? Define what is, what isn't, right? Second, we said set realistic lead goals and build staff accountability. Third, we said get more data than just what's embedded in the badge. And again, some of you may listen to those and say, Jefferson, I don't know how innovative those are. Well, I tell you what, based on real world practices, all 3 of them are innovations. I can promise you that based on what we're seeing out there. So let's keep rolling here. Let's talk about capture. Okay, when you think about how you capture leads, there are 4 generations of lead capture devices. It started with what? The business card, collecting business cards. And then people started creating paper-type lead forms that they could staple the card to and capture a little more information. And then, the show lead capture system, base system where you could scan or swipe the lead. And then as a 3A, I would put renting and customizing the lead capture system. And then the 4th generation is investing or owning a universal lead capture device. So what I want to do quickly here is run a quick poll. I'm going to flash this poll here about how you currently capture leads. Please check the radio dial button that applies. The poll is live now. I'll give you just a minute to do this, and then we'll see where we are as a group. Okay, let me come back and share the poll. Quite interesting to see the results here. We are all over the board on results, but let me share them. So 10% are collecting business cards. What's the problem with business cards? Many. Number 1, the attendee might not be carrying one. Number 2, how much data, additional data, can you capture on a business card? Not much. Third, does the business card guide your booth staff on what questions to ask and give them a quick and easy place to capture? No. Other problem with business cards, they end up in booth staffers' pockets, and you often don't even know the lead was created. So if you're capturing business cards, I want you to move to the next generation at minimum. Okay, the paper form has some advantages, right, because you can build a custom qualification model. You can build that and then, check and circle and make notes, but you still got to kind of move the data from written into electronic, and that creates some issues. Renting the show system, 48% of you are there. Good. But, my recommendation is that you go to the minimally rent and customize. The last time I checked with Experian, only 7% of exhibitors use custom qualifiers. That means 93% don't. Okay, so I strongly suggest that you use custom qualifiers to build a custom capture device. And then a percentage of you, 15% were at the universal lead capture system. Those of you who are there are at the highest level of lead capture. And yet I'm going to show you some areas for innovation in that area too. So the official lead retrieval provider for the show is Experian. And I would strongly suggest you take a look at not only the options they have, but look at the ability to customize. You will see they have the Swap, they have the Optium RT2000, and the Swap and Android tablet package. So your contact at Experian would be Ann Cusimano. Her phone number and email address is on the screen. Those of you who are in the business card paper-only section, I strongly encourage you to reach out and get lead retrieval. I think it's a big mistake to have an attendee walk into your booth and hand you their badge to scan, and you can't do it. I think it's a big, big mistake. So I recommend you minimally have some form of electronic system in the booth. Okay, so reach out to Ann. She'll be happy to help you not only find the system that works, but guide you through how to customize it also. Okay, let's keep rolling. We got about 10 minutes here. We got 2 more strategies to go. Want to make sure we cover them all. 3 more to go, actually. State-of-the-art lead capture technology. The beauty of the technology explosion is the capabilities now that can be built into your lead capture process. So when you look at your current process and you look at, if we want to be state-of-the-art, we want to be the best we can be in this area, here's some of the things that are out there that you would want to look for in your capture. Number 1, flexibility. You have the ability to customize the tool. Second, it's got to have the ability to read the standard coding, whether it be 2D, barcode, magstripe, RFID, whatever, but it reads all of the standard badge coding. Third, it's not just a device, but it can be loaded onto smartphones and tablets, both Android and iOS. Fourth, this one is where it starts getting interesting. You have the ability to create custom question paths based on various types of visitors, based on various products in your booth. So for a certain solution or area in your booth, you could have a very customized question path built for that product. You could also have it for current customers, prospects that are in your sales pipeline, and new potential contacts. So you could have these question paths. And one of the things you want to look for is the ability to have branching. If they answer yes, then the question flow goes this direction. If they answer no, it goes this direction. So it has branching questions. Number 3 is you have the ability to tag certain questions as required, meaning you can't exit the device unless you've got this question. You'll see where that comes back into play in a moment here. Number 7, you've got the ability to upload PDFs and literature and media that you can upload it to it. Second, number 8, you have the ability within the device to instantaneously email and or even text with an attachment documents and media. Okay, that way your follow-up can be instantaneous in the booth. Number 9, you've got the ability to integrate it with your CRM system. Whether it is real time, where it's literally talking to your CRM system, right? Somebody walks in the booth, scan the badge, their data comes up, you know exactly who they are, the history, everything, but also has the ability to move the data from the capture device to your CRM system without a lot of hassle. Number 10, super advanced option, the ability that as soon as that person enters the booth and there's a scan created, the account rep or manager can be instantly notified by email or text. Number 11, reporting. It's got a dashboard and it's got the ability to help you keep score not only at show, but post-show and through your sales cycle. So wherever you're at in the lead capture, whatever generation you're at, move forward. Try to go forward. If you're at the rent, then minimally go rent to customize. But if you're at the universal capture, look at how many of these capabilities your system has and see if you can't add some more functionality to your lead capture process, because this is where the game gets interesting and the big, big value starts to come. So strategy number 4, state-of-the-art capture technology. Number 5, okay? Not all leads are created equal. I'm amazed at, some people say, well, how do you determine if it's a quality lead? And they go, well, based on what product they were interested in. I don't think that determines quality based on that they sat through a educational presentation. I don't think that really determines quality. So what I want you to think about in strategy number 5 here is what criteria that if you could elicit and capture would help you really assign value and quality to the lead. In my example, what I'm doing here is using time frame, budget, and buying role as the 3 criteria. So you can see now that we would build a grading system or a grid or a scorecard that says it's an A+ lead because the time frame for purchase is 0 to 3 months, budget is identified and secured, and the buying role is specific, writes the specs or has final say. You can see with a B it changes, and a C it changes even more. Then, big idea here. Make sure that whatever criteria you're going to use to grade the lead, it is integrated into the capture system, and it is a must capture field, okay? Because we can't grade it if we don't have the data, okay? So make it required data. Integrate it, make it required. And what I suggest you do at your end of shift or your end of day meetings is have your booth staff do a quick check in terms of not only the quantity they captured, but how much data they captured. And I really want them to pay attention to what they didn't capture, so on the next shift or the next day, they can do even better, okay? So number 6, final strategy here, okay? We've covered 5 real-world, rubber-meets-the-road type strategies here. Here's number 6. 76% of people that receive leads view them as cold calls. The average lead takes what? 26 days to process. 43% of buyers receive information after they've made the buying decision. We got a problem with how sales reps and dealers and distributors view trade show leads. And in some ways, we've contributed to that problem because we haven't got as deep and as thoughtful as we need to really hand them. The last thing they want to do is for you to hand them a haystack, and they have to search through the haystack to find the 5 needles. Okay, so let's give them the needles, not the haystack. So, and everything we've talked about up till now will help you do that. So number 1, some strategies to put this strategy in play. Communicate the commitment, talk with senior management, and also talk with your sales, your dealer, and your distributor network, and really get the word out that we're looking for quality, not quantity. The last thing we want you to do is chase rabbits. It's really hard to catch a rabbit. Things are fast, right? So we want quality leads. And what's a quality lead? Information rich, a lot more than just what's in the badge, has a clear, visible next action step, has a grading based on codes that we've created. Okay, so that's what we mean. We're looking for quality, not quantity. Second step, which I mentioned earlier, if your sales dealer distributor network helps you design what the perfect lead looks like, their anticipation to receive them, and their action when they do receive them will be higher and faster. Okay, so get their input on designing and creating what constitutes the perfect lead. Number 3, we talked about it. Those goals, clear and firm goals, and make sure that everybody on the team owns a part of the goal and that you are checking performance at the end of the hour, the end of the shift, the end of the day, the end of the show. Okay, next strategy. Calculate and share your cost per lead with every person who gets a lead. Here's an example. If you spent $50,000 on the show, and you captured 100 leads, your cost per lead was what? $500. I want you to start calculating cost per lead, and then you can also put cost per A, cost per B, cost per C. But here's the big thing. So if you give a sales rep 10 leads from AAO annual meeting, and your cost per lead was $500, you handed that person $5,000 of company capital. They need to know it. They really need to know it. They need to treat it as such.
It's the same thing as if you handed them a check and said, hey, Jefferson, I need you to get this check into the bank by next Friday, right? If I don't get it in the bank by next Friday and you handed me a check, my job's going to be on the line, right? Where'd the check go? I don't know. It just got away from me. It got away from you? It doesn't just get away from you, right? So calculate and share your cost per lead, and also share the number and quality of leads to that person's manager or direct report. But calculate and share cost per lead, number 4. Number 5, make it easy for people receiving leads to report. If you're using a CRM system, you have the ability to schedule actions in there. So you might pre-schedule 3 reporting dates, 30 days, 45 days, 90 days after the show, 30, 60, 90, 60, 90, 180 days, however long your sales cycle is. But set 3 firm reporting dates, build it in as a scheduled action in your CRM system, and here's the big idea, that now the person has to choose not to report because the action will flash in front of them on the day they're supposed to report. So schedule those in. Number 7, if you don't have a culture of reporting accountability, and many companies don't, then prime the pump. Kick this off with contests. Say, hey, the person that gets the highest number of A leads by closing time wins X. Then tie to your 3 post-show reporting dates. The rep or dealer who gets the highest percentage of leads to an in-person appointment within 45 days wins X. Next, the person or rep group or dealer who gets the highest percentage of leads to a written quote or proposal within 90 days wins Y. And then the big one, 180 days. The rep or dealer or distributor who gets the highest percentage of their leads to a closed order and reports back on the order wins Z. And you can see how those XYZ, the value of those rewards could scale up. And you don't have to do this forever. You just got to do it long enough to get everybody into the habit of taking the leads, following up, and reporting back what became of the leads. Because again, we're all the way back to the beginning. If you're ever going to measure ROI and you're not writing business at the show, the real product is leads. And if you don't know what's becoming of your leads, how are you ever going to track ROI? Answer, you're not going to be able to. And finally, I'm going to throw a little bit of a controversial idea in here. But let's say you sell through independent reps, or you sell through dealers and distributors, non-exclusive dealer distributors, and they're not following up on your leads, or they're not reporting on your leads. Well, here's an idea. If you paid $500 for the lead, and you've been communicating that to them, and they're doing nothing with this leads, how about we start charging them for leads? How about we say, hey, we paid $500 for these leads, and we've radically improved the quality. They're information rich. They've got a clear next step. Going forward, your cost per trade show lead is $150 a lead. Now, here's a question. Would that put a burr in their saddle? You better believe it. Would that increase the odds that they're going to follow up? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, again, it's a bit of a radical, but if you're sending leads out there and they're not being followed up, your company is losing a fortune. Not only are you losing the cost per lead, but in the mind of the attendee who is waiting for the follow-up, you're also hurting your company's brand identity in the marketplace. I promise you they remember companies that don't follow up. I had to learn that lesson the hard way my first year in shows. So we've covered a lot of ground here, run a few minutes over. It's my hope that these 6 ideas have opened your eyes, inspired you, and motivated you, and given you a couple practical takeaways. If you're going to get ROI, it's going to come from your leads if you're not writing orders on the show floor. Okay, so I'm going to open this up for questions, and while I do, I'll turn it back to Anna for any closing comments. Okay, we've got some questions here. Let me jump in and take a look at these. Some really good questions coming. Question number 1, we rent the show system and sometimes we have issues with the machine. I agree. That's why hands-on, working with it and role-playing using it before the show is important. Do you have a paper lead format we could use? If you will send me an email, Jefferson at Trade Show Turnaround, I'll send you an example of what I call an opportunity card. Okay, so send that to me, Jefferson at TradeShowTurnaround.com. Next question is, how does the average attendee react to the exhibit staffer checking off the screen during the visit, especially if there's a large volume? Well, there's 2 parts to that question. You don't want to capture too much information. Typically, if you order your questions in the natural flow of conversation, and you make it quick and easy to check and circle, and a couple open-ended, fill in the blanks, it'll be easy to do. There's no harm or foul in taking notes while you're talking to somebody. In fact, I think one of the biggest mistakes we make in the booth is we have a great qualification model. We do a great job asking questions. We ask the visitors questions, and we stand there with a blank look on our face, right? People want to know that you're listening. People want to know that you take their answers seriously and that you care. So using the device during the interaction is okay, but you got to make sure your staff's trained and have done it in role plays so they're smooth and comfortable using it during the interaction. Okay, got a question on the cost of a universal capture system, and they range somewhere in the $1,000 to $5,000 range. You know, so there's a lot of bells and whistles. You know, but here's the thing: if you're paying $400 to rent a unit and you're doing that for 6, 8, 10 shows a year, you can probably cost justify the investment over 1 year. So that would be worth looking into. Next question. Oh, a lot of questions here. How much time should a rep spend using the lead machine to ask questions? Well, fast. You know, the key is you want to organize your questions into front end, which are situational questions, and back end, which are qualifying. So they'll ask the front end questions before they start talking about company or product, and then they'll ask the back end. So, as you know, as long as it's conversation and there's an ebb and flow, 3, 4, 5, 7, 11 minutes, the key is visitor engagement. If the visitor's engaged in the conversation, they'll be answering questions, and you can be capturing and continuing guiding. So it's really about not how much time, it's about how engaged is the visitor, okay? Okay, let me see. So we are out of time. The last question on best universal capture systems. One of the best I've seen is a company called Leadature. It's like literature, but Leadature. I would suggest you do a Google search. Go on and take a look at them. They have built what I believe to be the perfect mousetrap. Definitely worth a look. Okay, so now, with third-party systems, again, what you got to do is connect with AAO to find out the badge coding, 1, and 2, make sure that the system that you're going to use can read the badge coding. That's an obvious thing. You've got to look into that before you make the investment. Okay, I apologize. This has been a great webinar. You guys are super engaged here, but we are out of time. We've run about 7 minutes over. I want to thank everybody for logging in. I want to thank Anna, everybody at AAO for investing and caring enough about us as exhibitors. Use what you learned in this webinar. Go to the Exhibitor Resource Center and consume all of the content on there. And I promise you, you will have an incredible AAO annual meeting upcoming. So thanks for logging in, everybody. Feel free to send me questions at JeffersonTradeShowTurnaround.com. I'll be happy to reply to those. And we'll see you in Las Vegas. Thanks for logging in.